Game development has been a hobby for me the past couple of years that I do after my day job. I've always wondered what my life would look like if I was a full-time game developer. This week, I took off of work and treated working on my game above par as my 9 to 5 and set a goal for myself. Have a completed build that is ready to ship on Steam. So, how did I do? Well, to be honest, up front, I didn't meet the goal. But I did get close, and I learned a lot along the way. Day one, started off very strong. The first thing I did was I made a plan of what to do each day so that I could achieve my goal in the end. So in my game above par, there's one main level, which is called the climb. Basically, it's similar to these like rage platformer games, like Getting Over It, Jump King, but also there's another part of the game that's called the practice course, which is an 18-hole course where you can refine your skills before you go test out the climb. So on day one, I wanted to finish that 18-hole course. Going into the week, I already had 9 of the holes, so I had 9 more to go. Also on day one, I wanted to start reworking the climb. And lastly, I wanted to finish editing my YouTube video for the week. So after making the plan, hit the ground running. First half of the day, knocked out like half the holes I needed to. Creative juices were flowing. Something I would try to do is, 1, I would try to make each level unique. 2, I would try to use different mechanics. A couple things in the practice course that aren't as prevalent in the climb just because I thought it was going to be too RNG. So 1 was a water hazard. 2 was wind, which I am going to use some in the climb, but very sparingly in a not annoying way. I flew through these 9 holes I needed to make. I think I was done by 1 or 2 p.m. I decided that I wanted to dedicate Tuesday to reworking the climb. So I stopped working on the game and I started editing my YouTube video for the week because I just wanted to get that weight off my shoulders. We also hired our first employee for our game development company on Monday, my cat Olive. So I finally put her to work. So I spent the rest of that day editing the YouTube video, and I'm not gonna lie, it broke me. I'm being dramatic, but it did take a lot that day. I've been making video essay style videos. Yeah, that sounds right. So the one I was working on was a video on Minecraft and why we quit and come back and quit and come back and just like what game design elements apply there and what is like the human psychology behind that. Something that I've been trying to do with my videos is have a lot more visual stuff. Don't need just a talking head of me for 10 to 15 minutes. So getting the B-roll for that video and adding it into the video really like took it out of me mentally that day. I was already kind of experiencing the highs and lows of, game development, content creation on day one. Overall, I was happy with my progress on day one. So after editing the video, I was done for the day. Day 2. So unfortunately, I was already a lot less motivated on day 2 than I was on day 1. However, what I will say is that you don't build a video game just off of motivation. So 1/5 of the way through the week, I knew I had my work cut out for me. To start off day 2, what did I do? Finished editing that video. Thankfully, that didn't take me that long. I had set myself up well the day before. After I was done with that, then I moved on to working on the climb. Once I got started, I made pretty good progress. I probably got about 1/4 of the way done the full level that I want to eventually build. I also probably took more breaks on day 2. I was definitely a little worried that I might burn myself out because this is a week off of work for me. I did make sure to spend a bunch of time hanging out with my dog, Copper. I also mixed it up. I didn't just work in my office that day. I also went out into like our living room area. One of the pros of working off of a laptop. Overall, day 2 definitely felt a lot less productive than day 1, but it was still a step in the right direction. Day 3, this was the day that I realized I was not going to be done with the game this week. So in the morning, I worked on the climb for a bit, and I decided how tall I wanted the level to be. And when I zoomed out and took a look at it, I knew I was not going to be done. But I was okay with that. While I do want to finish above par soon and move on to other games, I also don't want to rush out a worse product just to meet a deadline. I also wanted to make sure that I sufficiently play tested the climb and all of the practice course multiple more times before I shipped it. That was something I did with the demo level a lot, and I made tons of tweaks, and while it wasn't as big as I wanted it to be, I did feel like what was there was fairly polished. So after working on the climb for a bit, I then pivoted and started to do some UI and tutorial related items. So to play the practice course, there was a button called courses. It would start you at hole 1, and then as you finish hole 1, it would take you to hole 2, hole 3, etc. I could see people wanting to replay holes and not have to go through 7 holes they don't want to play just to replay hole 8. I ended up making it to where all 18 of the holes are playable on an individual level. This is also when I came up with the name practice course. I was trying to distinguish that this was not necessarily a tutorial, but more of a training ground for the climb. The climb is the star of the show. The practice course it's fun. There's some neat levels, but it's not the main focus of the game. Once I came up with that name, I actually scrapped the idea of a par system for the 18 holes. This is something that was kind of up in the air in my mind on if I wanted to have it in the game or not, but ultimately I was also scrapping local multiplayer from this and controller support. At the end of the day, I have either 16 or 18 wish lists for this game on Steam right now. And while I think some of these ideas and features would be good, I also have to weigh the cost-benefit analysis in my mind of I want to move on to another project, but I also want this game to be really good. I also had a how to play section in the tutorial. Basically, it was a couple of UI panels that described what the controls were in the game and what the objective is and how the club system works. So I modified it slightly to make the description a little bit clearer. And I also, in the pause menu, added that there. Prior to that, it was only resume and return to main menu. I feel like it's pretty common for players to pause the game and expect to be able to see a controls or a description on how to play the game. So I figured for 1.0, that seemed like a necessity. If people just dove straight into the climb, but didn't look at the how to play section, at least it's also there. Day 4, everybody's favorite day, the bug fix day. A lot of my friends played the game, and I also have played the game quite a bit and found a number of bugs that needed fixed. For example, sometimes the ball will move after it settles. Another one was once you started a shot, you could switch between clubs. You could change your clubs during the intro cutscene. There's a few holes in the practice course where the flag was in the wrong place. Also, once you completed a hole or you completed the climb, you could open and close the pause menu, which would be overlapping UI, buttons, and panels, which was just broken and felt like it needed to be fixed. So thankfully, I was able to fix all those. Some of them took longer than others. I also wanted to keep working on the climb that day. I wanted to play test for new bugs. And I also wanted to make a YouTube short specifically for Above Par. Didn't do any of those 3 things on day 4, the last day. So again, gonna come clean. I kind of took this day off a little bit. To be fair, it was a national holiday that everybody had off work. So I took this day, and instead of working on Above Par, I started working on a Blender Udemy class. Most of the games or prototypes I've worked on over the last 2 years have been 2D games. I've really struggled with pixel art, evidenced by the fact that I went with a very minimalist art style for Above Par. I'd heard low poly art in Blender was maybe a little easier to get into once you learn the mechanics of Blender. So while I was off work, I really wanted to make sure I dedicated some time to start that learning process. So I spent a few hours, and honestly, I had a lot of fun with it. I feel like I'm already better in Blender than I ever was in Sprite. Kind of wished that I had jumped to 3D game development earlier, but it is what it is. So I'm excited to keep doing that class and learning more, applying it to future games that I make. So after day 5, I of course did not finish the game, but I did set myself up to be in a very good spot to finish my game, likely in the next 1 to 2 months. I enjoyed the week. It's interesting to do this challenge though, because I feel like I learned a lot about myself. It did at times start to feel like a job when I wasn't motivated or excited. It's a friendly reminder that video game development is not all butterflies and rainbows. It is hard work. There's a lot of annoying issues that you run into, bugs that you did not foresee becoming so hard to fix, but it is very rewarding. Even a simple game like Above Par. Another thing that a lot of people talk about is how important marketing your game is. I'm trying to do it, even though you almost have to learn another skill set to be able to do that. You have to learn video editing. You have to learn search engine optimization. You have to make good content, get B-roll for your videos, etc. Kind of crazy how much goes into this hobby if you're trying to be successful at it. But I'll be honest, if I could do this for a living, I would. Maybe one day. Probably not. All right. Thanks for watching.